but I'm glad to now share the process with you. And so you're getting all the handouts. The first page is what I'll be going over. That is the summary of proposed bylaws. Following that first page, you will have 6 pages of the proposed bylaws. And we won't have time today to discuss these in any depth. It's just to introduce these to you, give you a sense of how we arrived at these proposals. It's been a long process. First of all, we changed our denomination a few years ago. We are now part of the Evangelical Covenant Order of Presbyterians, and so the bylaws need to reflect that. We also had church consultant Paul Borden come and give us perspective on how we could better fulfill our mission. We voted to adopt his prescriptions. We also, before I came on session studied a book entitled Winning on Purpose: How to Organize Congregations to Succeed in Their Mission by John Kaiser and others. And that led to an understanding of a new kind of structure that these bylaws will reflect, as well as more recent books like Deep and Wide that Jim Gamble talked about a few minutes ago. So now on the page, and I'll also have these up here. We'll give a little more historic and legal context. While the founders of East Main Church incorporated in the early days, 1889, that's the incorporation date at the beginning of the church, this updated version of the bylaws clarifies what is required both of civil authorities, state and federal governments, and denominational authority, in this case, ECO, and what we are doing in these bylaws to be in compliance with these authorities. By the way, in 1889, Bonnie found this document, the courthouse, where was it? It's handwritten, the incorporation document signed by the judge and all of that. Does anybody know the name of our church when we incorporated in 1889? Grove City Presbyterian Church. That's on that document. It's in handwriting. That's what we were called. That must have been before Tower? No, Tower's a different.
They're first.
They're first. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, we got the name somehow. And I think it changed quickly after that. Okay, the next item. East Main Church is a nonprofit entity organized for charitable, religious, and educational purposes as a church and is incorporated as such. Thus, it meets rules for IRS and Pennsylvania Nonprofit Corporation Law, NPCL, for tax-exempt church. So these are the legal authorities to whom we are responsible, and these bylaws must reflect that. And on the other hand, we're responsible to the denomination. The ECO Essential Tenets, Polity, and Rules of Discipline document serves as the Constitution and takes precedence over our bylaws. So that's a foundation on which these bylaws now are written and rely. So it's important to understand that the Constitution then becomes part of the bylaws, though they're not included here. So they will always be something we refer back to. It also helps explain how Bonnie and Ken were able to take 23 pages of the current bylaws and reduce them to 6 pages, which we hope are easier to understand. And so, let's go on to the next one, the session. East Main Church is governed by a board called the Session. As a governance body, Session provides strategic leadership, which includes determining mission and vision, that's primary, deciding on policies and other strategic matters, overseeing the church's performance, ensuring legal and fiscal compliance, and maintaining overall accountability. And that's pretty much, I think, what you understand Session is supposed to do, but this clarifies this, and Session will be and continues to be the governing body of the church. Now, this point about overseeing the church's performance, though, is something that we've been focusing on in some of these new developments like Paul Borden's prescriptions and studying Winning on Purpose. Among other things, the session holds the senior pastor accountable. This is with Bill's approval. He really is supporting this. For meeting the mission and vision goals of the church and for administering the staff effectively to achieve those goals. Under this model, the senior pastor is the head of staff, and he will have to hold his staff, the associate pastors and others who are hired to do their job at the church, to hold them accountable for helping fulfill the mission of the church. And they will have these goals that they develop every year. And at the end of the year, there will be an accounting session where we hold Bill accountable for how he has held his staff accountable. And that's the structure that we are proposing. Session consists of the senior pastor and any associate pastors, plus elders who have been elected by the congregation. All are voting members. This is specified in the Constitution. This is a change. In the PCUSA, there was a distinction between ruling elders and teaching elders. We are not using that language any longer. ECO does not use that language. We refer to senior pastor and associate pastors. Also, previously, pastors were not voting members of session, but the ECO Constitution says they are, so we are obviously complying with that. The number of elders will be at a minimum 5, and at least 2 greater than the number of pastoral staff, and no maximum is stated. This allows for a range in the number of elders serving at any one time.
Yeah, am I correct in assuming that it says number of elders is 5, that means 5 lay elders apart from the pastoral staff?
Yeah, we're not using elders for the pastoral staff any longer, so that's...
Gotcha.
Right.
That's what confused me when I first read this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what he said.
Dan asked the question, number 5 does not include, that's lay elders, not pastoral elders. And I just clarified, we are not using elders for pastors in the current bylaws because ECO does not use that distinction.
So
Here.
it's 5 elected by the
5
congregation?
elected by the congregation. That's the minimum. It may well be more, but it allows us some flexibility that we really want to have as we go forward with this new model. The term for elders is 3 years. Elders may serve 2 consecutive terms, then take a year off before starting a new term or terms. Elders are nominated by session and elected at a congregational meeting. Also, at any time, covenant partners, that is members, that's the term, by the way, for a member, you understand that, may nominate people to serve as elders on session, and we encourage this on an ongoing basis.